Welcome to another Indie Dev Showcase, highlighting the many indie games we play here on the channel. If you'd like to submit a game for a future video, please reach out. But otherwise, let's begin. We are starting off this week's episode with Evil Wizard. This is an action-adventure game where you play, well, an evil wizard. After being defeated by the forces of good, they decide to go on a revenge spree full of puns and, of course, references from lots and lots of video games. Our gameplay here will involve you going around the various parts of the castle looking to reacquire your powers that you will need to deal with those meddling heroes and any of your minions who have decided to defect. You'll be able to use different spells that will have different impacts during combat and puzzle solving, being able to freeze certain enemies, set things on fire, etc, etc. As you go through the world, you'll need to return to previous areas with newly acquired powers in order to make more progress and complete the variety of side quests, including collecting lots of rubber duckies. The game, as with a lot of the kind of Metroidvania style games we've seen, does have that kind of issue of it can be a little hard to know where you're supposed to be going from one area to the next, or what is the next order of things to do. But all in all, I think this game was pretty solid. You'll have an emphasis on combat, as you'll have to finish off enemies, and have to deal with more and more fights as things progress. So if you are looking for a more evilish style of action-adventure, then give this one a try. We got more evil, but this time we are doing the killing of evil with Bloodhound. This is a kind of 90s inspired, almost similar to that of Painkiller-esque shooter. There's demons from hell, metal is playing, you have guns. I think you can all put a 1+1 together here. Our gameplay here is again like fast-paced, very action-heavy centric. This is not push-forward combat. You will need to pick up ammo and health drops along the map, but you do get access to kind of small powers, as being able to like dash and avoid damage along those lines. Now, with that said, the game does again really mirror the old school way that levels are just kind of there or existing as a series of arenas. If you're hoping for finding multiple secrets or exploring and doing like different things, this is not that game. This is the walk into a room, door closes, enemies surround you, go kill them style of game. The footage you're seeing is being played on the highest difficulty, which can also be why these enemies will drill through my health incredibly fast. All in all, from what I played of this one, it was just okay. The gunplay was good, but again, it's not something that we haven't seen before. If you haven't played any of the other many boomer, metal, and other kinds of shooters out there, then this one is not going to do anything new for you. If you're in the mood for some metal fuse rampaging and you've played the rest, this one may be worth at least a check. But again, after we played so many, it's just very hard for a lot of these smaller shooters to stand out. We now switch over to yet another Zombie Survivors. This is currently in early access, and what you see may not represent the current version of it. But we have, as the title implies, another in the Vampire Survivor Bullet Heaven style. This time, we are controlling a squad of different characters. Each character comes with a different weapon and different perks. So instead of just throwing different weapons at the player and you making a choice, as you unlock new characters, you'll need to decide which ones will kind of join your squad and what weapons and perks they will get. All the while dealing with waves and waves of zombies of varying shapes, sizes, and nastiness. The game of course features meta progression with unlocking new characters, new perks, and permanent upgrades. Of kind of like the first generation style of Bullet Heavens, I like the kind of approach of the different characters, but because it's completely hands off in terms of combat, it doesn't feel as interesting to me to play compared to say something like Death Must Die or Halls of Torment. So if you're looking for kind of a more evolved version of that first style of Bullet Heaven, I would at least give this one a try, but if the thought of going back to like Vampire Survivors version 1 doesn't sound interesting to you, then you may want to skip this zombie mosh pit. And the perfect game to swap to from hardcore violence is Perspective, the puzzle game with Viewfinder. This is a puzzle game where, as I just said, perspective and arrangement of photos is the name of the game. By picking up and manipulating photos and paintings, you will be able to create and change the environment around you, deleting or adding walls, all in the pursuit of trying to power up teleporters that will move you from one section to the next. And this is of course helped by a absolute gorgeous art style and aesthetic of the game. The puzzle design in this one is a little bit awkward. It kind of all revolves around very similar mechanics. We played this for I think up to about like the second chapter there and about, and the game kind of just introduces all variations on the same theme. So if you learn one puzzle, you're going to learn all of them. I really do like the style and structure of Viewfinder, but it is one of those games that the second you get stuck at a puzzle or you just kind of like stop enjoying the game, there's nothing new or no other aspects that's going to keep you playing or keep you invested. And I still need to play the Talos Principle too, and that will probably show up on some future video as well. But this one kind of operates again, kind of like in the moderate to moderately challenging side of things. And it all depends on just how easily you can shift your own perspective in terms of puzzle solving. But if you missed out on this one when it was released in 2023 and you are a puzzle fan, then you definitely owe it to yourself to give this one a play. I'm giving some very mixed signals for this week's showcase as we move on to Lisa the Joyful. This is the final part of the Lisa series and was released alongside Lisa the Painful's Definitive Edition in 2023. If you missed out on the game itself, this is a very interesting and kind of disturbing game. On a planet where every woman has been killed by a mysterious phenomenon, the men have been left in charge and it's evolved into a mix of like Fists of the North Star and toxic masculinity. Now, with this being the third game, we play as Buddy, and she is out on a rampage to deal with everyone who has tried to take control of the world, and she's going to bend it all to her whim. Our combat here is your kind of standard JRPG design. You'll be able to use different abilities that you'll gain from the various people, and you'll need to figure out how to deal with the wacky characters that you will run across. Now, despite the music and kind of the low-bit or 8-bit style, this game, like the second game, gets incredibly dark. And the story will go places that I really don't want to spoil or don't want to say here without YouTube causing any trouble. The difficulty is certainly going to be tricky, as you really need to learn kind of the rules and mechanics and make use of all the items that you have if you want to stand a chance. This is a game where you can, or more than often, be completely outnumbered, and you'll need to deal with these enemies as quickly as you can. Now, the footage you're seeing is taken from Lisa the Joyful, which is technically considered the third game. The first game is kind of a free game that's available on Steam now. If you have yet to play Lisa the Painful, it is highly recommended you play through that one first, as so much of that game and the story and the world is obviously built upon and responded to in Lisa the Joyful. But this is a very original game and you're not going to find anything else quite like it out there. So if you don't mind some very dark storytelling, then you definitely want to play this one. For our last game of the showcase, this is Oirbo. The footage you are seeing is taken from Early Access and may not represent the current version of the game. This is a platform-centric Metroidvania. We play as Oirbo, a robot who awakens on a spaceship, and as per the norm, there are no humans around, and everything is out to get them. So, what's a robot to do then to run, jump, and collect power-ups along the way? The gameplay here is highly focused on platforming, as you'll pick up multiple forms of movement tech and additional abilities that you will need to explore the space station. The challenge of this game is that it is really built around kind of the more non-linear approach of a Metroidvania. So while multiple areas are going to be open to you, you're going to need to figure out which order that you can actually do things in based on your current set of abilities. Now, this is by no means an easy game either, despite our cute little Oirbo here, as checkpoints are few and far between. You can also get fast travel as well, but you're going to have to be very careful as there are a lot of ways that you can die. Part of the kind of challenge of the game is that since you're not directly attacking enemies, you need to make use of bouncing off of them in order to gain the necessary height in order to make certain jumps. So there's a lot of areas that are pretty much as one-offs, that if you mess up any jump in the chain, you're going to hit a spike or whatever, and of course take a hit. And I was enjoying this one, as because of the fact that it's in early access, I didn't want to spend too much time on it, as I want to play at its full breadth when it is released, but there's definitely something here for fans of very movement-centric Metroidvanias. While again, you are going to be fighting enemies, this is not going to be a Hollow Knight or very much like a combat mechanic focused take. So, if you like cute robots, you like platforming, and you like double jumping as well, then you should definitely give this one a try. And with that, we are finished for this week's showcase. You'll find links to all the games down below. If you'd like to play your game for a future stream and video, please reach out. And with that said, everyone, thanks for tuning in, and see you all in the next video.